Good evening, Honorable Chair and members of the committee. My name is Eden Almeri. I'm the Assistant City Treasurer and Billing and Licensing Director. I'm presenting tonight the report on discontinuing the approximately $500,000 subsidy for convenience fee associated with accepting credit cards, debit cards, and electronic checks as payment methods for certain city services and fees. The recommendation that the Finance and Governance Committee recommends that the City Council conduct a public hearing to consider the establishment of fees to cover the costs of banking convenience fees for the use of credit card, debit card, and electronic check transactions for city services and for fees, charges, or taxes due to the city. And following the public hearing, adopt a resolution establishing fees to cover the costs of banking convenience fees for the use of credit card, debit card, and electronic check transactions for city services and for fees, charges, or taxes due to the city. To give you a brief background, Government Code Section 6159 authorizes the acceptance of credit card, debit card, or electronic fund transfer for payment of services rendered by a city, or for payments of a fee, charge, or tax due to a city, provided the legislative body of the city approves such use. The statute authorizes the city to impose a fee not to exceed the costs incurred by the city in providing for payment by credit or debit card or electronic fund transfer. In 2003, Council approved the use of credit cards to pay city fees. At that time, staff estimated this would cost the city $17,800 for every $1 million in credit card transactions. In actuality, the city has subsidized customers' use of payment cards and e-checks as follows. In 2018, the city subsidized $492,617. In 2019, $534,832. In 2020, $520,565. Currently, the city accepts credit and debit cards for a broad range of services, including utility payments, business taxes, short-term rentals, building permits, fire inspection, recreation class fees, parking citation, false alarm citation, and parking meters. Additionally, e-checks are accepted for utility payments over the phone. Although credit and debit cards and e-check payments offer convenience to customers, since 2003, the city has had to pay fees for transactions to the gateway, the merchant, and the credit card companies like Visa and MasterCard, or e-check processor, each of which performs a function to complete a transaction and enable the city to collect payments. The table shows some of the fees that these service providers charge the city. The actual list is much longer than what we show in this table. Please note that there are some services for which the city is already charging a fee for using credit cards, so the city is not currently subsidizing those usages. Because in the past, departments implemented different programs using various vendors and software to address their needs, this fee varies. In some cases, they are just using a different credit card processor. In other cases, the processor is selected by the vendor that offers the larger program. The variety is great. Some programs charge a flat fee while some charge a percentage. For example, you will see on the table that Community Development's short-term rentals, or STRs, uses Stripe and charges $2.95 plus 30 cents per transaction, while Police Department's admin citation uses Phoenix Group that charges $3.95 or 3.25% per transaction. Due to contractual obligations, the city cannot immediately change the rate that is currently being used by their service providers. Instead, the city will continue to use the rate that was set in the contract with the various service providers. As each of these contracts become due, staff will evaluate the value and viability of switching over to the vendor used for utility billing. Eventually, the city may be able to uniformly implement the credit card processing fee to all departments that are accepting credit, debit cards, and e-checks across the city's various payment locations. There are instances where the city is subsidizing the fee, and staff recommends continuing that subsidy, at least temporarily. Some programs don't allow us to pass along the credit card processing fee to customers. So if we are intent on doing so, we will have to opt out of those programs. The threshold question for council is whether the city should continue to subsidize the use of credit cards where convenience fee has not already been passed on to users and where it is possible to pass along fees to the users. If not, the various companies charging the fee have asked the city what transaction fee they should charge. Staff is targeting the percentage that recovers as much as possible of the actual subsidy without inadvertently charging extra. To arrive at the proposed rate to charge as transaction fee, staff perform an analysis of the fees paid in the past 3 years in relation to the amount collected using only the regular no discount rates. This table shows the average rate that the city paid in the past 3 years for credit card transactions over the counter and electronic check payments over the phone. So for over the counter, on average, for the past 3 years, the rate was 2%. And for electronic check, the average for the past 3 years is 2.7%. The rate of 2.35 is low is on the low end of the range when compared with some other agencies that charge transaction fees. Our analysis showed that the average cost to the city per transaction is 2.35%. So for reference, the table before you was summarized from a recent survey of convenience fees and shows the rates other cities charge. City of Thousand Oaks, for example, charges 2.65% for charges over $500 and $2.75 for charges below $500. City of Ventura charges 3% for in-person payments, $3.95 for online payments, and $4.25 for payments over the phone. Ventura County charges 2.15%. On the right-hand side of the table, towards the bottom, La Cañada, Flint Ridge, and City of Truckee both charge 3%. For our timeline, pursuant to Government Code Section 66018, the City Council must hold a public hearing for the purpose of implementing such fees. If Council adopts the fees, the implementation period will take place over a few months. Throughout the summer, the city will go through the testing phase with Paymentus, our gateway, to ensure that the payment processes will work as expected. The testing phase should be completed by early fall. We will provide an update to the City Council when the program takes effect. The financial impact. Approval of the recommended transaction fee is estimated to save the city approximately $500,000 annually. Once again, the recommendation that the Finance and Governance Committee recommends that the City Council conduct a public hearing to consider the establishment of fees to cover the cost of banking convenience fees for the use of credit card, debit card, and electronic check transactions for city services and for fees, charges, or taxes due to the city. And following the public hearing, adopt a resolution establishing fees to cover the costs of banking convenience fees for the use of credit card, debit card, electronic check transactions for city services, and for fees, charges, or taxes due to the city. This is the end of my presentation. I will be present at the meeting to answer your questions.